Welcome to today's deep dive.
Yeah.
We're really jumping into something massive today.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't get much bigger than this, honestly.
Right. So imagine a war so catastrophic that it literally shifts the geography of the Earth. Picture armies of monkeys lifting entire mountains, demons manipulating the very fabric of reality, and a prince who gives up absolute power just to keep a promise.
It's just such a vivid image, isn't it?
It really is. Today, we're opening the pages of the Ramayana. Specifically, we're diving into the transcript of the highly acclaimed 1993 animated film, Ramayana, The Legend of Prince Rama. And the mission for this deep dive is, well, it's to explore an incredible synthesis of material.
Yeah, because on one hand, you're stepping into this realm of spectacular high fantasy mythology. Right?
Exactly. But on the other hand, you're navigating these profoundly grounding ethical dilemmas. We're talking about the weight of duty, the intense fragility of the human ego, and just the devastating realities of conflict.
And I think the beauty of this specific telling is how seamlessly it balances those two extremes. I mean, you get the sweeping visuals of flying chariots and celestial weapons, but those elements always serve a deeply human philosophical question.
Yeah, the supernatural elements are basically just a canvas.
Yeah.
Right? A canvas for exploring the timeless choices people face when power, loyalty, and morality collide.
Totally. It's an epic journey that starts with a royal family dispute and ends with a war that literally shakes the heavens. And there are massive insights here that you can actually apply to your own life today.
Absolutely. So, let's set the stage. The origins of the conflict center on the kingdom of Ayodhya, which is ruled by the benevolent King Dashrath. For a long time, his greatest concern is just lacking an heir to inherit his peaceful kingdom.
Right, which is a huge deal for a king.
A massive deal.
Yeah.
Eventually, he's blessed with 4 sons. The eldest is Ram. And, within the context of the story, Ram is believed to be the 7th incarnation of Lord Vishnu.
Which means he's essentially a supreme deity sent to Earth to restore cosmic balance in a time of crisis.
Yeah, no pressure, right. So Ram grows up as the ultimate embodiment of virtue and strength. The text really highlights his early exploits.
Like when he's still just a teenager, right? He journeys into the forest to slay terrifying demons like Tartaka, who are terrorizing these holy sages.
Right. He proves his worth not just through martial skill, but through a really profound sense of respect for the spiritual order. And then he later wins the hand of Princess Sita by achieving the impossible.
Oh, lifting and stringing the great ancient bow of Lord Shiva.
Exactly. A feat no other prince in the world could manage. So at this point, everything points toward a golden age for Ayodhya.
Everything looks perfect until it isn't.
Yeah. That golden age is just ripped away on the absolute eve of Ram's coronation. I mean, he's about to be named the crown prince, the whole city is celebrating, and then palace intrigue strikes.
It's always palace intrigue.
Always. A bitter servant named Mantra begins whispering poison into the ear of Queen Kaikeyi. Now, Kaikeyi is the king's favorite queen, but she is not Ram's biological mother.
Right, which is the wedge Mantra uses. She convinces the queen that Ram's ascension to the throne is a direct threat to her and her own son, Furat.
And acting on this fear, Queen Kaikeyi approaches King Dashrath and basically cashes in 2 old boons, like favors the king promised her years ago after she saved his life on a battlefield.
And her demands are uncompromising. First, her son Furat must be crowned king. Second, Ram must be banished to the dangerous demon-filled forest for 14 years.
Which is just, it's wild. King Dashrath's reaction is agonizing. He begs her to reconsider. He offers her all his wealth, anything else she could possibly desire, but she absolutely refuses to budge.
And the tragedy here is that the king is bound by his word. As a ruler of the Solar Dynasty, his spoken promise is absolute.
He has to do it.
Yeah, he's forced to grant her the boons, even though it breaks his heart and, frankly, ultimately costs him his life.
I have to pause and frame this for a second because the sheer scale of the injustice here is staggering. Imagine like you've worked your entire life for a promotion. You're going to be named CEO tomorrow. The entire company respects you. The board is thrilled. And then, the night before you take over, a bizarre, ancient loophole in a contract your father signed decades ago gets you fired.
Fired and exiled, yeah.
Right. Not just fired, but permanently exiled from the industry into the wilderness. Ram's brother, Lakshman, reacts the way most of us probably would. He's furious.
That's totally understandable.
Yeah, he's ready to draw a sword, rally the troops, and fight for the throne that rightfully belongs to Ram. But Ram just calmly packs his bags. Why does a powerful warrior just accept such a massive betrayal without a fight?
Well, the answer lies in the ancient concept of Dharma. It translates loosely to righteous duty, but, it encompasses so much more than just following rules.
How so?
Dharma was viewed as the metaphysical glue that basically holds the universe together. For Ram, his absolute obedience to his father's word supersedes any personal ambition whatsoever.
Oh, wow. So it's way bigger than just being a good son.
Exactly. I mean, in your modern corporation analogy, breaking a contract might get you sued or damage your reputation. But in the context of this epic, a king breaking his solemn vow invites actual cosmic chaos.
So the stakes are literally the fabric of reality.
Yes. Ram explains to his furious brother that anger is just not the path to justice. He refuses to inherit a kingdom if it means his father goes down in history as a liar.
That requires a level of restraint that is almost difficult to comprehend.
It really does, but it sets up the entire moral framework of the world you're exploring here. Honoring a promise is valued far, far more than acquiring power.
And we see the ultimate proof of this in Farad, right? The brother who actually inherits the throne due to his mother's scheming.
Yeah, Harad is such an interesting character. When he discovers what happened, he's horrified by the manipulation. He actually tracks Rum down deep in the forest and begs him to return to Ayodhya.
But Ram refuses, right? Because the 14-year exile has to be honored to preserve their father's truth.
Exactly. So Farad makes the stunning decision. He takes Ram's sandals, places them on the throne, and outright refuses to actually rule for himself.
He just leaves the shoes on the throne.
Yeah, he insists he's only acting as a proxy, basically holding the seat as a caretaker until the rightful king returns.
That's incredible. So the heroes are adhering flawlessly to the rules of Dharma. But this transition from the safety of the palace to the wild, unpredictable forest brings a massive shift in the story.
It really does, because playing strictly by the rules becomes the exact vulnerability that their enemies use against them.
Yeah. The isolation of the forest strips away the physical protections of the talus, leaving the heroes exposed to an enemy who actively mocks the concept of Dharma. And this introduces the primary antagonist, the evil King Raven of the island empire of Lanka.
And Raven is a terrifying presence. I mean, he is at the absolute peak of his power. He's a conqueror seeking to dominate the three worlds.
The conflict really ignites when Raven's sister, a demoness named Shurpanaka, encounters Ram and Lakshman in the forest. She attempts to seduce them, is rejected, and when she turns violent, Lakshman strikes back.
Right, so she runs to her brother Raven, demanding vengeance. But Raven's motivation quickly shifts from mere revenge to just this overwhelming desire.
Because he hears of Ram's wife, Sita. The source transcript describes her beauty as having a complexion like, quote, molten gold, and he just decides he must possess her.
And Raven's approach here is a masterclass in manipulation. He doesn't just march his vast army into the forest for a direct confrontation.
No, that would be too simple.
Right. He uses dark magic and elaborate deception. He forces a demon named Marriage to disguise himself as a breathtakingly beautiful golden deer.
And Sita is captivated by the unnatural beauty of the creature, so she asks Ram to catch it for her. Wanting to bring a moment of joy to his wife in their really harsh exile, Ram chases the deer deep into the woods, leaving Lakshman behind to guard the hermitage.
But before Ram leaves, Lakshman draws a magical protective line in the dirt all the way around Sita.
The promise is that as long as she stays inside that boundary, she is entirely safe from any dark forces. But then Raven's trap springs, right?
Yeah, the demon deer, as it dies from Ram's arrow, perfectly mimics Ram's voice. It screams out in agony, begging for Lakshman and Sita to help.
Which is so cruel. Sita panics. She forces a reluctant Lakshman to leave the protective circle and find his brother. And suddenly she is completely alone.
Leaving her completely vulnerable to Raven.
But wait, I'm stuck on this detail of the magical line. Raven arrives disguised as a frail, starving sage, begging for alms. How does he actually bypass his barrier if she's supposed to be entirely safe inside it?
That's the genius of it. He doesn't break the magic. He breaks the psychology of the person inside it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the magical line is a physical manifestation of safety, a boundary of strict adherence to self-preservation. But Raven stands just outside of it, demanding that she bring food to him.
So he makes her choose between safety and her duty to help others.
Exactly. He leverages the threat of spiritual ruin, claiming that if she refuses to feed a holy man with her own hands, a terrible curse will fall upon her family.
That is dark.
He realizes that Sita's internal moral compass, her dharma of hospitality and charity, is actually stronger than her fear for her own safety.
It is pure psychological warfare. He's weaponizing her own virtue against her. He knows she's too good a person to let a holy man starve, so he turns her goodness into a fatal liability.
Deception is absolutely the true villain of this segment. The heroes are bound by honor, charity, and love, which makes them highly susceptible to illusions. Raven strips away the reality of the situation to bypass the magical protections.
But the text provides a powerful counterpoint here, doesn't it? Even as Raven drops his disguise, seizes Sita, and flies away in his chariot, the natural order itself violently rejects his deception.
Right, he is attacked in midair by Jatayu, an ancient noble bird king.
And the intervention of Jatayu is one of the most visceral, heartbreaking moments in the transcript.
It really is. Jatayu is incredibly old, his wings are feeble, and he is wildly outmatched by a powerful demon king. Yet, he fights Raven anyway.
He just throws himself at him.
Yeah, he gives his life's blood, fighting until he is mortally wounded, just to try and slow Raven down. His sacrifice demonstrates to you that the natural world views Raven's actions as a toxic violation of the universe's moral fabric.
It's so tragic. Sita is abducted and imprisoned across the ocean in Lanka. Ram is left devastated. I mean, he's a prince wandering the wilderness, stripped of his army, his home, and now his wife.
He's hit rock bottom.
Truly. But this agonizing isolation sets the stage for the next major thematic shift. Ram has to build massive magical alliances. It seems to suggest that true leadership, even for a divine incarnation, requires the humility to ask for help.
That's a great point. The search for Sita brings Ram and Lakshman into an alliance with Sugriva, the king of the Vanaras, which are a society of intelligent, monkey-like beings. They form a covenant of mutual aid.
But the standout figure of this alliance, and arguably the most beloved character in the entire epic, is Hanuman, Sugriva's most trusted minister.
Oh, Hanuman is amazing.
His backstory is fascinating. He's tasked with leading the search party to find Sita, but he's carrying a massive secret that even he doesn't fully understand.
Right, because Hanuman possesses divine powers, but he actually forgot how to use them.
Which sounds crazy. How do you forget divine powers?
Well, as a young child, he looked up at the newborn sun, mistook it for a giant golden fruit, and literally tried to fly into space to swallow it.
Wait, you thought the sun was food?
Yeah, and his raw power was so immense that it terrified the celestial beings. To maintain balance in the world, a spell was cast upon him that sealed his abilities.
So they just locked away his potential.
Exactly. He was made to forget his own extraordinary strength until the day it was truly needed for a righteous cause.
I am so curious about the cultural subtext there. It feels almost counterintuitive for an all-powerful mythological figure to just suffer from a divine mental block. Is there a deeper philosophical meaning behind a deity forgetting their own nature?
Oh, absolutely. It's a profound metaphor for the human condition. Hanuman represents the vast, untapped potential inside every single person listening to this.
I love that.
Yeah, he had the power to cross the ocean and locate Sita all along, but he was trapped by the limitations of his own mind, and he doesn't regain his power through, isolated meditation.
How does he get it back then?
It happens when he reaches the edge of the ocean, staring at this impossible obstacle, and is surrounded by a supportive community. An ancient bird named Sampati, who actually happens to be the brother of the martyred Jatayu, along with his fellow Vanara soldiers, they rally around him.
So it takes a village, basically.
Literally. They recount his origins, remind him of his divine nature, and essentially tell him, you are the only one capable of this. Wake up to who you truly are.
That's so powerful. And once that mental block is removed, the scale of his actions becomes staggering. I mean, he leaps across the entire ocean, lands in Lanka, and locates Sita.
Just a massive leap of faith.
Yes. He gives her Ram's signet ring to prove he's a genuine ally, offering her a lifeline of hope. Then, before leaping back, he single-handedly destroys a massive portion of Raven's royal gardens and sets the city of Lanka ablaze with his tail.
He really makes an exit.
He does. And the incredible feats only escalate from there. Later, during the height of the war, Lakshman is mortally wounded by dark magic. Hanuman is sent to the distant Himalayas to retrieve specific glowing healing herbs.
Yeah, right, but he can't figure out which ones they are.
Exactly. So why does he uproot and carry the entire mountain back to the battlefield? Is the text suggesting that when you finally overcome a mental block, your response to challenges becomes disproportionately massive, like the ultimate workplace example of over-delivering on an assignment?
That is a brilliant way to interpret it. When logic and specific knowledge fail him, because, he isn't an herbalist, he can't identify the right plant, his sheer, unadulterated devotion takes over.
So it's about pure dedication.
Exactly. Carrying the mountain is the ultimate physical manifestation of his dedication. And you see this same theme of devotion making the impossible real when the Vanara army finally reaches the shore.
Oh, the bridge?
Right. They are faced with an uncrossable ocean. They pray to the sea god who instructs them to build a bridge by throwing heavy stones into the water.
But rocks sink.
Normally, yes. The catch is that they must inscribe Ram's name on each stone. The faith imbued in that name actually alters the physical properties of the rocks, causing them to float.
It's a breathtaking image. You have monkeys, bears, and creatures of the forest working tirelessly to build a floating bridge across the sea.
It's an incredible visual.
But that bridge serves a dual purpose. It gets them across the ocean. But stepping onto the shores of Lanka forces Ram to confront something much darker than demons. It forces him to wage a brutal war without losing the very morality that defines him.
Yeah, the transition from the magical buildup to the reality of the battlefield introduces incredibly complex ethics. Even with an army at his back and the bridge completed, Ram actually hesitates to attack.
Really, after all that.
Yeah. He adheres to his principles by sending an envoy, the warrior Angad, into Raven's court to offer a peaceful resolution. Ram makes it clear that the shedding of blood should be avoided at all costs.
He gives them an out.
He does. He offers to forgive Raven's transgressions if he will simply return Sita and the other captives.
But Raven's ego is blinding him at this point. He laughs at the offer, insisting that Ram should be shivering in fear.
Classic Raven.
Right. The diplomatic window slams shut, and the battle that follows is just apocalyptic. Raven's forces deploy terrifying tactics. When the Lanka army begins to falter, Raven forces his giant brother, Kumbhakarna, to awaken months early from a deep magical slumber.
And Kumbhakarna is a being at such colossal size that his mere presence on the battlefield paralyzes Ram's army with terror.
The physical threats are monumental, but the psychological warfare is even worse. This is driven by Raven's son, Indrajit.
Indrajit is terrifying because he doesn't fight fair. He attacks from the shadows, relying heavily on dark magic, invisibility, and horrifying illusions designed to just completely break the enemy's spirit.
And he crosses a line that is viscerally sickening. He uses his dark magic to conjure a hyper-realistic illusion of Sita. He brings this illusion out onto the battlefield and brutally executes her right in front of Ram and Lakshman.
It's a devastating moment.
He orchestrates a fake murder specifically to inflict maximum psychological torture, to make Ram believe that everything he fought for, the entire reason the bridge was built and the army was raised, was for nothing.
It's just cruel.
Right. So I have to push back hard on Ram's reaction here. When you are subjected to that level of psychological abuse, when your enemy has abandoned all decency, at what point does a hero finally say, "The rules of engagement are gone. You tortured me, so now I'm going to obliterate you and your entire civilization with zero mercy"?
I mean, it is the most natural human response to desire that kind of scorched earth vengeance. But resisting that urge is the defining characteristic of Ram's heroism.
It's so hard to grasp, though.
It is, but this is where we have to look at the concept of Kshatriya, the duty of the warrior class in this ancient society. His Kshatriya duty demands that he pick up a weapon to stop evil and protect the innocent. He must fight the battle.
Okay, so fighting is required.
Yes. But his broader human dharma dictates how he conducts himself while fighting. After grueling, blood-soaked battles where figures like Kumbhakarna and Raven's top generals are finally slain, Ram issues an order that shocks his own men.
Oh, the cremation order.
Yes. He commands that the enemy dead be gathered and given a solemn, honorable cremation right alongside the fallen soldiers of his own army.
His brother Lakshman actually questions him on this, right?
Yeah.
He asks why they're honoring the monsters who just tried to slaughter them.
He does, and the transcript captures Ram's profound response. Ram tells his brother, "In death they are no longer enemies."
Wow.
Yeah. He explains that throughout this arduous journey, he has come to realize that all beings, the humans, the Vanaras, the demons, the birds, have all sprung from the same source.
That's a beautiful way to look at it.
He fulfills his warrior duty by defeating the immediate threat, but he actively refuses to let the brutality of the conflict strip away his empathy. The epic asserts that maintaining your humanity in the face of absolute darkness is a greater victory than the military conquest itself.
In death, they are no longer enemies. That really reframes the entire concept of winning a war.
It creates a deeply bittersweet resolution, actually. Ram eventually faces Raven in single combat, defeats him, and finally rescues Sita.
The ultimate reunion.
Right. To return to Ayodhya, they are given the Vimana, which is this magnificent magical flying chariot. But as they ascend into the sky and begin the journey home, the atmosphere is not one of unblemished triumph.
Why not? They won.
Well, the source material notes that as Sita looks down at the battleground and then up at Ram, her feelings are profoundly mixed. She is flooded with relief to be reunited with her husband, but she is simultaneously overwhelmed by sorrow.
Oh, because of the destruction.
Yes. She looks at the devastation and mourns the thousands of precious lives lost on both sides.
She recognizes the staggering cost of a war that should never have happened. Man, let's take a step back and look at the massive scope of what we've explored today.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. We started with the spectacular imagery of magical golden deer, warriors leaping across oceans, and entire mountains being carried through the sky. But underneath the high fantasy, we dug into foundational life lessons.
Yeah, the real human stuff.
You saw the heavy cosmic burden of keeping a promise. You learned how good people can have their virtues weaponized against them by deception.
And we explored the idea that you might have vast, untapped potential hidden behind a mental block, just waiting for the right community to help you remember your strength.
Exactly. And finally, we witnessed the immense discipline required to hold on to your empathy and humanity in the middle of a vicious conflict.
It really is a remarkable narrative achievement. The text uses the supernatural to force you to examine the natural world. It challenges you to look at your own life and question your strict adherence to duty, your blind spots to manipulation, and your capacity to forgive those who oppose you.
Which leads to a final lingering thought I want to leave you with today. The entire Ramayana champions Ram's unwavering obedience to his father's command. He accepts a brutal 14-year exile because the ancient rules of Dharma demand it.
Right, the ultimate sacrifice.
But consider the alternative. If Ram had simply stayed in Ayodhya, if he had taken the throne that the citizens desperately wanted him to occupy, and ignored that unjust, manipulated edict.
The war wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. The entire catastrophic war, the abduction of his wife, and the deaths of thousands of creatures would have been completely avoided. It makes you wonder,
Yep.
does our rigid adherence to the rules and doing the right thing sometimes create the very chaos we are trying to prevent?
That is a tough question to answer.
It's definitely something for you to chew on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Ramayana. We will catch you next time.